Hey, Steven here with another MyCom tutorial. Today we're going to talk about setting up the right location for your next testimony or interview shoot. Let's go. All right, so today's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of a come with me as we set up type thing. But the first thing I want you to know about setting up interviews is something I learned in high school from my TV teacher. So Miss McKamey, if you're watching this, shout out to you, but never interview in front of a wall. It's boring, it's flat, and it doesn't really tell a story. So even in this situation, I'm in a hallway. If I were just to turn the camera and pivot the camera just a little bit, you'd be able to see a lot more. So let's see what that looks like. So here we go. We're just gonna turn a little bit here. And now, same hallway, just pivot a little bit, and now you can see all this depth in the shot. So that's really what we're looking for, is this depth back here. So really having depth in your shot just gives your image a lot more character, and it's able to tell more of a story. So that can be a double-edged sword depending on where you are and what you want to show. But for the general rule of thumb, never interview directly in front of a wall, but have something for your viewer to kind of take in outside of your actual subject. All right, so rule number 2, if you're in a situation where you can move stuff around in your environment, go ahead and move it around. So for instance, right here, we're gonna move this chair because I feel like it just clogs up the scene a little bit. So we're gonna move that around. Obviously, if you're in somebody's home, you wanna make sure you have permission, or if you're in a business, make sure you have permission to move stuff around. But for most places, they're cool with it. So just ensure that everybody's cool with it and then get to moving. All right, so now that we have our frame set up and everything's in place where we need it to go, we're gonna start bringing in some of our lighting. Now, I understand lighting can be expensive and it can be, you may not have all the resources, but right now, even as it stands, I feel like the lighting here is pretty good. We have a window right here, which I can show you here in a second. So we have a window right here that's bringing a lot of natural light in. And so with natural light, the thing you have to look out for is cloud variance. If it's a sunny day or a cloudy day, the sun can come in, it can cause a lot of differences in exposure on your image. So what I like to do is I like to close down all the natural light that's in the room. I know that can be woo-hoo. But what I like to do is to control the light as best as I can. And the number one thing about lighting is make sure you turn all the house lights off. A lot of times they can be ugly colors and just at weird angles and provide lots of just weird casts and shadows on your image. And so what I like to do is to control as much light as I can in the scene. And so the first step to do that is to turn off all the house lights. All right, so now that the house lights are taken care of, I feel like this gives the image a much better balance. There's only one light coming in, and that's the natural light through the window. And that's something that we can either keep for now, or we can close the blinds and be able to control more of the lighting. So for now, for this instance, I'll go ahead and keep the I'll go ahead and keep the blinds open. That way, you can kind of see what it looks like with just natural light. So now that we turned off all the house lights, the next thing we need to worry about is audio. So audio is arguably the most important part of any testimony, of anything, really any video. If you have bad audio, how quickly are you to turn it off? Versus, we see bad video all the time. I mean, look at the rise of social media, everything going on. There's horrible video, horrible angles, shaky cameras. We're all used to it at this point. But if you have bad audio in your video, then how quickly are you to turn it off? How quickly are you to not want to listen to it? How quickly are you to want to go to the next thing because you can't understand what's going on? It sounds really echoey or it's just bad. So right now I'm wearing a lavalier mic, and this is simply just a microphone that's attached to my hoodie. It's black, it blends in, and it's really close to my mouth, and that's very important for audio. You want to make sure that's as close to the source as possible without being too close, because then it'll sound distorted. And this is just one way to get good audio for your testimonies or for your interviews. Another way is to get a boom mic, and so that'll sit just right out of frame, and you want to have it about 6 to 8 inches away from the mouth and pointing towards the person's chest area. That way, whenever the person is speaking, the microphone will actually pick up the sound waves of their voice. If worst comes to worst, you could use the internal microphone on your camera, but that's if all else fails and you have no other options, because sometimes, again, that can sound really echoey, the volume can be really low on it, and it just doesn't sound too great. What we want to do is have the best audio for our viewers. That way they can stay engaged in the story and receive whatever they need to receive from the testimony. The fourth thing about capturing a great testimony is the camera angle. And you may not think that's too important. Should I have the person talk directly to the camera or off angle? And here's my opinion. I think if somebody's talking directly to the camera, the person who's talking is telling you what they want you to hear, right? We get this through news. We get this through content creators like I'm doing right now. I'm telling you what I want you to hear. But rather, what I like to do for testimonies is have the person just pivot about 15 or 20 degrees and talk off camera. And so this really invites the viewer in, just like you're watching a movie. Very rarely will you see an actor and actress, what we call breaking the fourth wall, and turn to the camera and say, hey, check this out, or hey, this is what I learned. But rather, it's inviting you into a story, and it makes the viewer feel more of a part of the room rather than feel like they're being told what they need to hear. And so I really hope that makes sense in how we covered don't interview in front of the wall, turn off all the ugly house lights. If you don't have any lights, use window light coming in. The third thing is get good audio. I can't stress that enough. You need to get good audio. There's lots of really good cheap options out there to get some really good audio into your camera. And the fourth thing we covered is having your talent talk a little bit off angle, about 15 or 20 degrees off camera. That way it makes the viewer feel more invited into the space. So this is Steven with another MyCom tutorial, and I hope you learned something today. Well, I really hope you learned about 4 things today about how to make your testimonies a little bit more effective with the way that you shoot, light, and capture great audio with it. If you have any questions, just reach out in the comments below, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.